Today we're going to look at a Stealth Series amplifier from Soundstream. One in particular we're looking at is the Monoblock, where they have three different models. They have a Monoblock, a 2-channel, and a 4-channel. They're called the single shot, the double shot, and the quad shot. Again, this is the single, the ST1.500D. The one we're testing, the single shot here, is available on Amazon at the time of this video for $100. You can see the ratings here, and I have them highlighted because we're going to talk about the ratings and how they kind of differ from what the bottom of the amp says and what they say here. This amplifier comes packaged in a type of package that will fit on a display hook in a store. And yes, it says 500 watts on the box. 95% efficient, 3 inches by 3 inches micro size, Class D technology, all that good stuff. And there's a lot more details on the back. And this is what I'm talking about here. If you look at the additional specs, we see 150 by 1 at 4 ohms, 250 by 1 at 2 ohms, or 500 watts max. That does not line up to what it said on the Amazon page. It also has a variable low pass 12 dB per octave crossover from 50 to 500 hertz. We'll take a closer look at some of the additional settings and features as soon as we get it out of the display box. Of course, you get the owner's manual here, which covers all three models: the Monoblock, the 2-channel, and the 4-channel. It's got everything you need here to get your amp hooked up. Also, the harness here for the speaker outputs, as well as the power, ground, and remote turn on. Then you get the adapter here for RCAs for the input, and of course it comes with a high-level adapter as well, in case you want to hook it up to speaker level. And it comes with the screws to mount the amplifier. There are no Allen's keys with this one. Here's the amp. Look how small it is in my hand. This thing is tiny. It literally fits in the palm of your hand. I will give you the dimensions here in just a little bit. But first, let's roll that beautiful beam footage. It's difficult to portray how small this amplifier is, so I have a CD here for comparison. You can see it is tiny. As far as the actual dimensions go, 3.5 inches long by 3 inches wide by 1.5 inches for the height. So again, extremely compact. Here on one end of the amp, you can see the power and protect LED. You can see the RCA input or high level input. Gain control from 6 volts to 0.25. Crossover allows you 50 to 500 hertz. You can do high pass, low pass, or you can bypass it. On the opposite side, you have the connection for the ground, positive, as well as a turn on and the speaker outputs, and a 30 amp fuse. Not a whole lot going on there. Now on the bottom, this is what I was talking about earlier. It does say it's made in Korea, which was interesting to me. But again, it shows that 150 watts times 1 at 4 ohms, 250 times 1 at 2 ohms, and max power 500 watts. So you know how we do it around here. We don't trust what anybody says about ratings. We're going to find out ourselves. So let's hook it up to the dyno and try it out. Now let's fire up the good old SMD, Demore Engineering Amplifier Dyno, to do our RMS power output testing of this amplifier. Before we do that, make sure you check the video description for links to Wilson Audio merch. Smash me a thumbs up and subscribe if you like this content. More like it coming all the time. Now let's talk about the dyno tests. There's 3 different tests: certified, uncertified, and dynamic. Certified test takes us up to 1% THD, uncertified takes us up to the clipping point, and dynamic is a dynamic tone mimicking IHF 202 standard. First up, we're going to try 4 ohms. According to Amazon, it's rated 100 watts. According to the box and the manual and everything else, it's rated 150. Let's see what we get. Certified, 88 watts, so we don't hit any of those ratings.
Hey, where's the beat?
At 14.46, 40 hertz, 1% THD. What about uncertified up to clipping? 91 watts. Again, still 9 watts shy of that rated power according to Amazon. What about dynamic? And you can see here, dynamically it does a little less. 81 watts at 14.44. What about that 95% efficiency they tell us? Not quite there. We got 88%. Now let's try 2 ohms where it's rated either 150 or 250. Let's see what we get here. Certified as first, up to 1% THD. Once again, 135. We don't hit either one.
They're just plain out lying to you, lying to you, lying to you.
Uncertified, let's try it up to the clipping point. 136 at 14.48. What's going on with your ratings here, Soundstream? Dynamic power, can we get the 150 dynamic? close, but no cigar. 141, 14.48. 143 jumped up, still not there. Efficiency wise, 73% at 2 ohms. We would expect that to be higher. Now here are the results. Again, it's only rated at 4 ohms and 2 ohms, and just showed you pretty much everything there, and also did it at 8 ohms. You can see those results on the far left. But yeah, it didn't even meet the lower rated RMS power. So not sure what's up with that, because on the box, 150 by 1 at 4 ohms, 250 by 1 at 2 ohms. And even on the back of the amp, it says the same thing. So, what's up with that? Now, let's find out what's inside this mini amplifier from Soundstream. Really just have to take off 2 screws from each side, and they're the ones at the bottom, and then you can pull the bottom plate off. I took off too many, you didn't have to. This is a full bridge Class D amplifier with a power supply and everything. Here you can see the 25 volt 1000 microfarad caps for the input filtering. And for the rails, we have 35 volt 1000 microfarad. These are 85 degrees Celsius. We'd much rather see 105 degrees Celsius. And the RS2092S, which is a Class D amplifier driver, as well as for the power supply, we have the IRF 3205 N-channel MOSFETs. In addition to that, we also have the complementary SFN 10A300C and R. These are the power supply rectifiers. Now let's find out if this tiny amp can make the subwoofer bump. Tiny little amp. Can it actually drive 4 12-inch subwoofers? Let's see. Let's try that woofer test. After bumping the amp pretty hard for about 30 minutes with different bass tracks, took off the bottom panel again here and did some thermal measurements. You can see the highest numbers are right around 120 degrees Fahrenheit. That's on the inside of the amp, and I decided I would tilt it over. Oh, I did see a 127 there. And again, that is the toroid for the power supply, which is typically one of the hottest parts of the amp, either that or output inductor. But here you can see the outside of the amp is right around 100 degrees Fahrenheit, so it is solid aluminum, or very thick aluminum, I should say, not solid. But it did a pretty good job dissipating the heat. Now let's talk about the good stuff. Extremely compact. It did handle 1 ohm loads, which you will find that out if you'll watch the video all the way to the end, because I will show some additional tests. It's inexpensive. It is readily available, whether it's on Amazon, eBay, or possibly on the shelf at your local store. And it does have high and low level inputs. Things that could be better. The ratings are confusing. They need to fix that because none of the ratings they gave actually matched up to what our tests were. No bass remote. The tiny power ground wires, they're like 16 or 18 gauge, very small. The crossover slope is not good because actually I could hear vocals even at the lowest setting of the crossover on the low pass filter. So there you have it. My test of the Soundstream single shot 500 watt quote unquote amplifier. And yeah, we're not quite there with the ratings, but this is a very small amplifier. It actually did power the 4 12-inch subs, which I was honestly impressed. So overall, amplifier is okay, but just understand what you're getting. Till next time, Big D, I'm out of here. Okay, so we decided to do some more amp dyno tests to find out what this amp did at 8 ohms, and also took it all the way down to half an ohm. So with the 8 ohm test, we did certified. As you can see here, we got 54 watts right at 14.44 volts. don't know why anybody needed it for 8 ohm, but just in case you did. Now we're going to run 1.6 ohm. Again, this amp is not recommended for anything less than 2 ohms, just disclosure. But we got 146 at 14.48. Next up, we'll do 1 ohm test. Certified test is first up to 1% THD, and we got 185 watts at 14.48. We'll reset the dyno here for the uncertified test up to clipping. See what we get. Oh, look at this. 188, 14.46. Now what about that dynamic test at 1 ohm? 40 hertz pulse track into the amp. There you go. Look at that. 240 watts at 14. Oh, we got over 250. 253 at 14.5 volts. So I wonder if they really rated it down to 1 ohm and just told us wrong. I'm not sure. But we also tried the dynamic power at half an ohm. You can see the wattage dropped a little bit to 212. So we didn't quite get any more power. So it did run there. But there you have it. There's all the extra tests. See you guys in the next vid.